It's episode 1274, 1,274 of these things. And it's the Relevant Podcast here in Orlando. I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia, it's Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Nashville, artist, producer, mogul, Derek Miner.
What up, though?
And today from Houston, in her friend's spare bedroom, our managing editor downtown, Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
Why are you in Houston?
Every year, my friends host an Oktoberfest, and this weekend was the best weekend for all of us to get together. So I'm in town for that, and mostly to meet my friend's new baby that she just had a couple weeks ago.
Aww,
so there's a few reasons.
New friends, baby.
This is the awesome. Third Oktoberfest in the row that I have met a friend's new baby. So it's kind of like become a tradition.
Next year it'll be you.
No, I rebuke that in Jesus' name.
Hey, she Baptist, but she went Pentecostal on that one.
Yeah.
She's like, something.
No. I rebuke that. Yeah.
I will start speaking in tongues against that, actually. So, yeah.
It's not how
Emily,
tongues works,
I'm
but
curious.
okay.
My whole context for Oktoberfest is pictures that
It happens in October? Yeah, because this is November
Germany.
for her.
And the whole thing of the festival seems to be, people sitting at long picnic tables, enjoying, beverages together. But I thought it was restricted to a part of Germany. I didn't know you could just throw one. Like, what does an amateur Oktoberfest look like?
We just hang out in the backyard. We play some games. Everyone brings food. The best part about living out of state is I don't have to cook anything anymore. So I either always get like ice or cups, or I just Venmo someone for the work that they're doing, which is really nice for me.
I'm glad you brought this up because just prior, and just bear with me here, I'm going to connect some dots. Just prior to us signing on, you were, obviously you'd been traveling. We all know, stuff can get a little messy. You're cleaning your laptop camera, and it was just smudging at first. And Derek said you need something like absorbent, like a paper towel or napkin or something to wash it. To
be clear,
not just use your finger.
Her camera looked like it had Vaseline on it. It was all like soft focus, and she takes her finger and just starts trying to rub it around, and she was just removing the smears.
Well,
so, Derek was like, "You need a rag."
I thought if I did it, I think if I did it enough, it would have gotten there.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because you're going to Oktoberfest this evening. You're going to be in charge of a couple items, including, it sounds like stuff that can be bought at the convenience store. The evening we're recording this, I have a cul-de-sac little get together, and my family is responsible for a number of items. And anytime there's a get together and someone's responsible, it has helped me to realize one of the biggest scam industries operating in this country right now. Insurance, yes. Also the decorative napkin industry. Here's why. They don't do the primary job of the product. They do exactly like a finger on a laptop camera. They just smear stuff around.
Yeah.
If you're at the Oktoberfest and someone spills one of those pints, stupid. Or I'm at the cul-de-sac, and I'm at the cul-de-sac thing, okay? And somebody's ice cream knocks over. It's like, oh, can I hand me a napkin? And it's like, it's got a pumpkin or a scarecrow, and it's orange. It's completely dyed orange. And I go to wipe that up. It does nothing. There's no absorbent quality to it.
It's like rubbing it with a piece of plastic. Yeah,
exactly. And what do you have to do? Well, get some more. And all of a sudden, you've plowed through half the supply of the decorative napkins. You still got a mess on your hands. I'm telling you, it is the biggest scam industry other than health insurance. It's probably bigger because health insurance, you get a lawyer at least to help you out. Yeah, at least you get a lawyer or something to help you out every once in a while. With the decorative napkins, all you're left with is a big mess. A lot of times the dye from the napkin leaks on top of the mess. And then two, you got a trash bag full of novelty scarecrow napkins or, at the end of the night. It's a huge scam.
It's time to protest Big Napkin. It's time to protest
Big decorative napkin.
Big decorative.
What do you do with your decorative napkins after the fact? What do you do with them? Because like I would throw a New Year's Eve party, and like you, I would have all these gold and black napkins left over, or Halloween party, or whatever. And like, you're not going to use them in everyday life. What do you do with them? Do you throw them out?
Oh, yes, I am.
Oh, you do? You use them in everyday life?
Yeah.
But they're terrible
yes,
napkins. But they're not good napkins.
We're going to pick something up with it. You blow your nose with it or something. You're gonna do something. These napkins are getting used in every aspect because I paid for them. You know what I'm saying? Like it just is what it is.
In my kitchen cabinet, like I have a whole drawer where there are just random decorative napkins from different parties over the years. So like I have graduation ones, I have a New Year's Eve one, like, and it's fun when people come over and they need a napkin. It's a conversation starter, and then I get to say, yeah, 2 years ago I had to buy 200 napkins for some event, and they're so useless I don't use them often.
Oh yeah, cups too. Look, plates.
Mhm.
There's nothing like eating on
Happy
happy
birthday plate.
Thanksgiving, happy
Yeah.
birthday plate
Yeah.
on 2 months later. I'm with it. Look, I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
But in fairness, those products serve the primary intended purpose of having the product. It gives me something to eat off of, or it'll hold liquid, right? A napkin, you blow your nose on that thing, it just goes right out the bottom, and you're gonna scratch yourself up just trying to clean
Sorry,
up.
how are you blowing your nose?
Three.
He makes it like a tube.
Three. I think you get a rash from some of those if you buy those Dollar Tree ones. Don't sue me, Dollar Tree. I'll say cheap ones. Edit out Dollar Tree. I don't want to be held liable for their napkin loss.
No, it's fact. We could go to trial and prove that Dollar Tree napkins are terrible. So it's
I
fact.
said give you a rash. I don't know.
And while we're in court with them, can we talk about how they raised everything to $1.25, so they shouldn't be called Dollar Tree anymore?
Yeah,
$1.25 tree.
It's true.
Well, it's like that Five Below store.
Ring.
Five Below, everything's supposed to be under $5. Now they have an area in the back called like above $5 or something. It's just now it's just a Target or it's a Walmart back there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Now we're just lying to the good American people.
Yeah. It's not a good situation we're dealing with here, and it starts dead square with decorative napkins, and then it bleeds out to everything else.
I agree.
Wait, so Jesse, what's your solution to Big Napkin?
It's
Big
easy.
decorative napkin.
Big decorative
napkin,
napkin.
sorry.
I'm fine with Big Napkin. I'm actually pretty pleased with most of their products. Affordable cost. I like the textures. They're rolling out now. The little, you know what I mean?
You sound like you're a connoisseur of napkins. Like you've
No, she
like,
just asked my opinion on napkins. I haven't formed one. This is honestly, gotta be honest with you. Other than the decorative thing, this is the first time I've thought about my satisfaction level of standard napkins. But if you're asking me about it and I'm forced to think about it, I'm like, you know what? It's a pretty good product.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I have strong feelings about toilet paper, like certain brands versus others. You know, like we're not going to mess.
That's
We're not going to go
understandable.
cheap on the toilet paper situation.
No,
you know?
no. You go cheap on the toilet paper situation, and your hands are gonna hate you. So
you
everything will hate you. The hands,
but at least keep your supply going. At least keep your supply going, because you're going to end up in an emergency and you're going to have to break out the decorative napkins. And trust me, that is one use they are not approved for.
You're just smearing at that point. You're not. Yeah,
we've gone far. Enough. We've gone far enough on this.
Ooh.
I don't know how to get from where we just were to where.
Who's our guest?
Yeah, this is the thing.
Oh, poor Ashley.
Oh my gosh. So a few weeks ago, we had Chris Durso join us and he hung out. He's a friend. We're not doing that, but we do have an item coming up in Relevant Buzz of this new study of some big trends in the church. And so we have one of the experts from Barna going to join us and kind of break down kind of what they're seeing. It's Ashley LaLonde. So she's going to be joining us at the end of Relevant Buzz. So I apologize, Ashley, if you're listening to your episode that we started out with napkin talk, but we do have real stuff coming up, everybody. We have actual content. It's going to be a good show. Okay. Well, on that note, we'll get rolling. Stay tuned right after this quick break. It's Relevant Buzz. All right. It's time for
Relevant Buzz.
Tell us what's happening at the intersection of faith and culture this week, Emily.
So Frankie Muniz is someone who has been speaking up a lot more about his faith recently. If that name doesn't sound familiar to you, it's because about 20 to 30 years ago, he was the star of a show called Malcolm in the Middle. And ever since then, he has kind of stepped away from the entertainment world. He's actually been racing in NASCAR. So fun little pivot for him. So we actually saw a clip going around this week where he talked about how he came to God and kind of what brought him to faith. Of all the possible ways that God can, work, what way do you think God reached him?
The clouds. It was out in nature.
Halloween festival. It is definitely Halloween.
The Holy Ghost weenie roast at his local church. That's it. The Hallelujah night.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's dressed up as a minion and It just hit him.
Came to Jesus.
A human.
He thought it was just trick or treating, and then all of a sudden he got witnessed to, and it's not.
Shondo.
Yeah, human
Jesse
video to a Michael W. Smith song with a choreographed, the climax in a choreographed, mimed fight scene between a resurrected Christ and the devil.
So
You're closest. I mean, the fact that you said Michael W.
Jesse
Smith
is
song.
closest.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is closest. It was actually through a Christian radio. It wasn't a Michael W. Smith song, but he was listening to Christian radio a few years ago, and God just spoke to him that way. I'm going to share the clip so you can hear what he had to say.
I'll be honest with you. It's something that's new into my life. I found it on accident.
Really?
I was driving across the country. If you had a really long time, I could tell you the whole story. But I was driving across the country, and everything that could possibly go wrong was going wrong. And I was like almost in tears. And the only station that would play was K-Love. This is like maybe 6 years ago. If you know K-Love is worship music. Yeah. And the song came on, and it was Carrie Job, Cover the Earth, and then it was Big Daddy Weave, Overwhelmed, like back to back. And where I was somewhere in New Mexico at the time, and it was like the perfect moment. And I haven't turned off that radio station since. And that brought me, I started, going to church every Sunday and really kind of being involved in my faith and definitely become a big part of my life because of that trip. So.
Yeah, we love to hear that.
Yeah.
Speaking of that kind of music, what's your favorite gospel or Christian song now?
I love anything Brendan Lake, Phil Wickham. I mean, there's so many good songs. That new breakthrough song about Andrew Ripp I was listening to on the way here. I love it all, and it's just because it makes me feel good, and that's what brought me that route. Is I was like, I'm a high stress person. I've got all this stuff going on. Even though I had a lot of good in my life, I felt like I was still like in a very anxious place, and it just puts me in the right, I think, frame of mind that I want to be in. You know what I mean? And if that little bit of listening to the music could have that effect on me and then bring me down a different path to make my life better, like I hope other people find that.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
Let's go. I love it.
Yeah, good for him, man.
Yeah, that's amazing.
K-Love.
Shout out K-Love.
Yeah.
K-Love got
We gotta
one.
give props to K-Love.
Said K-Love got one is crazy.
I have to assume that like they are riding a high right now of like Frankie Muniz. Like he gave us a shout out.
I do think it's funny. There's like I had no other option of anything to listen to. Like it was the only station that was playing in this weird part of New Mexico where I was at. But hey, there you go. It's awesome.
I think also a good story is the radio is relevant. I don't know many people that listen to radio. Most people I know are just playlists and their Spotify's or whatever. But he was like, yo, if I can't listen to radio, I'm not going to connect my Bluetooth and listen to anything else. So, either he just was like, I'm not going to let the truth get in the way of a good story. I don't know which one it was.
This is one of the biggest. This is one of the biggest pop culture Christian radio shout outs. I think the other one was David Putty on the classic episode of Seinfeld.
Christian rock,
yeah.
And George was like, I like Christian rock. Why?
It makes you feel
because
good.
it's not all cool and edgy like those real rock songs.
Man.
This is
That was a long
another
time ago.
endorsement.
We're not talking about any of our friends out there. That was a different era. Anyway, go ahead.
Different era.
Emily.
Anyway.
Well, speaking of music, I actually do have some more music news from the Billboard Hot 100. First thing, Josiah Queen had a really big week because he debuted on the Billboard Hot 100 at number 92 with the song Dusty Bibles. He also was a few spots ahead of Phil Wickham, who has a song What an Awesome God, which is on its third week on the charts, but it's at number 96. And it's really cool because I know earlier this year we talked about Brandon Lake and Forrest Frank. They were the second time ever that two Christians had charted on the Hot 100 at the same time. So now this is the third time happening in the same year. Just a cool trend we'd like to see more of. Maybe we'll get a third one on there one of these days. We'll see.
We're looking at you, Carrie Job. I don't know.
I mean, I will say I wouldn't mind if a female got on the list. It would be a little nice. Yeah. So
my vote is Tyrion. My vote is Tyrion. She's cold.
I don't know her. I don't know her music. Hold on.
Yeah, she's Goatee. She's at Goatee. Her and Aaron Cole are on tour right now. She's cold.
Wait, yeah, she's cool.
Yeah, she's super dope. Yeah, that's my vote.
There you go.
If someone's listening to this and wants to get into her, what song should they start with?
I don't know. just start with anything.
You go to her page
Go to
and look at the number one song. Start
That's
there.
it. Start there.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing on
Love
that
it.
strategy. I always skip to like the number 3. You know, because the number 1 or the number 2, it's like, oh, this is the one that was kind of the breakout. You know, it's not always the most representative. You want to go down with a couple that's my take. I'm not saying deep cuts, but you don't want just the hit, because sometimes the hit's a little bit of an outlier. It's not always the most representative. You know,
Okay.
Yeah, like there's a reason that one's a hit.
My biggest fan is obviously she's a rock star, killing it. We got a lot of mutuals, obviously being on tour with Aaron Cole. But I also love the fact I love seeing people win that whenever their name comes up, everybody smiles. And it's like, I've never met her before, but every time her name comes up, there's never somebody that says, oh, they're annoyed or they're irritated. It's just like, they're like, man, she's such a sweet person. So it's like, those are the people I like to see represent any space that I'm advocating for. It's just people that are just nice people. So it's like good music, great people. Like, that's what I love.
Yeah, because you don't always get both. Sometimes it's good music and not great people.
And sometimes it's great people with awful music.
Derek, I want to get your thoughts on
You want to name names?
this next music thing she's bringing.
I also have one more thing to mention about the Billboard before we move on. You may have seen this one going around. For the first time in 35 years, there are no rap songs in the top 40 slots.
I hate it. I hate it.
So the question, I'm curious on all of your guys' opinions, Derek, particularly yours as someone who, you know, has been in the genre a really long time. Do you think this is because of like cultural and taste trends, or do you think it's because of like a drought in like a certain type of mainstream release that would break into that category?
Like,
It's
there's no
both.
Drake
It's
album
both.
right now.
It's both.
Yeah.
No, it's both at the same time. You got multiple things that's going on. Number one is you have the tides are turning as far as just what culture, in my opinion, is needing right now, which culture needs less partying and more clarity. So I feel like that's why Christian music is starting to have certain moments with certain people, is because they're bringing clarity to people in certain areas. And I think hip hop has really been, as of late, just kind of relegated to just party music or crash out music or demonic aesthetics and weird things like that, like shock jock stuff. It's been just shock jock stuff. So then the question you have to ask is it shock jock stuff because the people that make hip hop only make that kind of stuff, or is it shock jock stuff because the people that are executives at the top only fund that type of stuff? And I saw somebody was talking, I saw two people. Ray Daniels says that hip hop has a gatekeeper problem. And then there was another guy from Sync Money who says that it's just an investment problem. They're not, like, the labels aren't investing in the artists. And what, in my opinion, and I hate to take it this way, but people are going to be mad at me, but you got a culture that was started with black and brown people that love the culture, they speak in their voice, and then you get a bunch of rich executives at the top that are just like, hey, there's a lot of money here, and they're investing their money in the people they think they can sell. So they're not trying to sell the actual art form, but they're just trying to sell the shtick. So let's get the sexual girls, and let's do that, the city girls, and then let's get the gangster rappers, and let's get the guy with the weird devil worshiping aesthetic. Meanwhile, other songwriting forms are more rewarded for depth. They're the people that they get that get budgets are people that they're entertainers, but they also have a level of depth and relatability and all those different things. So what's happened is there's a big investment in other genres with depth, relatability, and polish. But for hip hop, it's just been colonized and treated like it's a difference between somebody trying to build a neighborhood and somebody trying to get a fast flip on houses, right?
But
when you're trying to flip a house, it's just like that. Go ahead.
But I mean, like, I'm looking at like SNL last week, Sabrina Carpenter, and she's not deep. She's sexualized. And she's at the top of the charts. I don't know that that's completely true. And then why did it change? Why has it been that there has been urban music in the top 40 for 35 straight years, and then all of a sudden It's different now.
Because, so it's the point I'm making. Hip hop is a culture. It's not a genre. It's not, you can't treat hip hop like you treat anything else. Pop's not a culture. Pop is just whatever is popular at the time shoots through the roof. So the problem with something like hip hop is the only way that hip hop is going to be popular is if hip hop is supported by hip hop listeners. Hip hop listeners are not supporting hip hop right now because it doesn't represent them. It's pop music aesthetics that's flipped on. So you're taking all these people that are quote unquote hip hop artists, which is a lot of times a random white guy or the degenerate black person you can find, and you're giving them pop star budgets because that's what hip hop likes. So
like
now
Cardi
you
B
lose or Playboy Cardi. So now you lose people that actually love hip hop as the base. So they're no longer able to support their niche to take it into pop culture status. That's why you have, when you look at those artists that were at the top of the charts, they weren't just random artists. You have Drake, who, yes, pop star, but at the same time had R&B records. They were relatable, different things of like that. The reason people's biggest issue with Drake right now is relatability. Like, we don't relate to you anymore, therefore we don't really care. But Kendrick, we know what Kendrick was about. J. Cole, we know what J. Cole is about. Kanye at his peak, we know what Kanye is about.
We still know what he's about. We just,
but that's what I'm saying. The artists that made it out of hip hop had a level of substance and they had a level of culture that the hip hop culture supported. You cannot strip hip hop of its culture and turn it to pop music and then think that it's gonna have massive support from people that love hip hop. That only works with pop music or whatever. It would be the same thing of like trying to take rock and roll out of rock and expect it to top the charts. That was the problem. It's just there's no culture in hip hop anymore, and it's been mostly because it's been, in my opinion, colonized and gentrified, and you don't have hip hop artists at the top of hip hop anymore.
It is interesting that the idea of like the infusion of money with the intent on getting a big return, right? Like, I think how that is a corrupting factor in a lot of art, and I think the kind of the social and racial dynamics may be different on different like types of art. But I read this week that like even like the box office had a 27-year low for the month of October, and a lot of it is this VC, like what you're kind of describing there too, this venture capital type of approach where I need a moonshot. I don't want to double my money. I want 100x my money.
Yes,
and whatever is going to give me the best chance of that, I'm going to do. And that means all the people in the middle, anyone that's representing nuance or things that aren't meant to be like the to appeal to everyone, to have or to blow up, but to someone who has something nuanced or interesting to say, no matter what it is, a lot of those people get cut out of that investment thing because, like I said, they want the moonshot. They want 100x. Yes. They don't want double X. Like, I feel like that mindset has infiltrated a lot of things, and it corrupts on different levels because each art form brings different, things to the table. But I do think you can trace a lot back to this mindset of what investors, to your point, Derek, are looking for now.
Yeah. It's not just hip hop. I could take this with another thing I'm passionate about, which is Marvel movies and such. Only reason why I brought up race and colonization is because those are the specific things that are plaguing what's happening with hip hop. People that love hip hop don't feel like hip hop represents them, therefore you don't get the buy-in. But I could take it to the exact same thing with Marvel. Marvel laid out a 10-year plan on getting to one of the greatest villains in the Marvel history, right? Which it starts at Iron Man, and then it was small character developments over a decade, which leads you to some of the biggest box office grossing movies of all time. After that, Marvel said, let's accelerate that. Let's rush it to try and let's put out all these different television shows, all of this content to keep up because we want to hit another moonshot, like what my man say. And then when you look at Marvel, even Marvel fans don't care about Marvel movies anymore. It's because the culture is gone. The thing that we loved about the original Iron Man, the original movies, Like, it's gone. It's just, we could tell this is something that corporate is shilling out, trying to get us to be involved. And we're waiting for it to come back to its essence in order to support it. And I think that that's what you're seeing with hip hop and other things. It's not just hip hop. It's Marvel. It's big capitalism is killing art.
All right, for the last one, we have an expert joining us for the last Relevant Buzz item. We have some questions about some research we've been seeing from Barna recently about trends in the church and specifically Gen Z. So Ashley LaLonde is joining us to kind of break it down for us today. She's a sociological researcher for Barna Group who writes on the intersection of faith, culture, and spirituality. She's also an actor with a background in sociology from Harvard, and you might have known her from her role in Hamilton. You know, little thing that happened there in New York.
Okay.
Welcome to the show, Ashley. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to dive in.
You are the most qualified person ever to speak on this podcast. I will say
that is actually very true.
Besides me and my conspiracy theories, I think you're a close second. So
well, thank you.
We saw this research from Barna about Gen Z women. We've seen a lot of research this year about the rise of faith in Gen Z men. And there'd been this question about what's going on with the women. And so there was a study released this month that said that they are really struggling to find their place in faith right now and in community. They are more likely than men to be disengaged with faith. And this is Gen Z adults that we are talking about, 18 to 27. 38% of Gen Z women now identify as religiously unaffiliated. And they report the lowest rates of Bible reading, prayer, and church attendance among their peers. We've seen that men are not experiencing that, or experiencing it to a less degree. And so my first question I want to ask is, why do you think young women in particular are experiencing this disengagement with their faith?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll start by saying most of the research we have is the what and not the why. But as a fellow researcher, as someone who's close to the generation, I definitely can speak to some of my hypotheses around it. I'll also say that on the whole, we are seeing so much more spiritual openness in Gen Z. So Gen Z is actually very spiritually curious. This is actually the most spiritual openness that Barna has measured in 40 years, specifically with American culture. So it's very significant. People definitely have questions about the church, and they definitely have questions about what it means to be a Christian, particularly young women. A few hypotheses around this. One is definitely we're seeing some generational fallout from purity culture. And so a lot of these younger women grew up either kind of with the cultural undertones of the 90s, but they really came of age in the 2000s, and they were seeing some of the harmful impact and the legacy of this hyper-legalistic purity culture that was much more focused on women's purity. And so you're seeing a lot of young women who feel iced out by the church, they feel devalued, and some feel, oh, because I haven't lived out this very rigid particular ideal, I am not welcome in church spaces. So you're seeing kind of the influence of sexual shame. You're seeing the polarization of sexual culture right now. A lot of this, of course, has to do with political and ideological shifts. We're also seeing statistically, young women are much more liberal and young men are much more conservative. So as you see the rise of Christian nationalism in the United States, you are also seeing that many churches are becoming more outwardly politically conservative. That means for many young women, they feel like there's an ideological gap happening. They don't ideologically and politically fit into a lot of Christian American churches. And so they're feeling like, well, this doesn't align with my values, so why would I be part of this group? I think we're also seeing a lot of the tensions around what is feminism, how does the church empower or possibly disempower women? Some of that has to do with theology. A lot more of it has to do with culture and application. And so even in churches that have a more complementarian theology around gender, there are still ways to empower women. But we are seeing some churches that have kind of adopted Christian nationalistic ideals really focus in on men and male leadership. And so they may not have women in leadership on staff, which is one thing, but also do they have lay leaders who are women? Do they have women who are also involved in the workforce, which is another question. We're seeing a lot more young women shift into the workforce, much more than the last generation. And so we're asking the question now, is the church a place where young women who are single, they're unmarried, they don't yet have kids, maybe they never plan to be wed, maybe they never plan to have kids, maybe they are just more focused on career or called to singleness or choosing singleness, whether that's spiritual or not. Is there a place in church for them? Or do our churches maybe idolize marriage too much? And so I think a spiritual question to engage with is, where do we see the idolatry of marriage in churches? This affects people of all ages and all genders. And so this affects basically all single people. Is if our churches are catered to nuclear families, then people, particularly young women who are delaying marriage or not choosing marriage in the ways that their past generations did, is there a place for them to thrive? Or have they missed what we have deemed kind of the epitome of spiritual success, marriage and a family for women? So there's a lot of different pieces coming together. To be honest, we need a little bit more research maybe on the qualitative side to engage. But I'll even say myself as someone who's a bit younger and living in New York City, a part of the arts and part of the research and ministry side, I'm seeing this myself, is that there is a lot of ideological shift happening both within the church and outside of the church. And many women are feeling like the church is not a place they can spiritually grow. There's also, I think, a piece with the LGBTQ community that many young women are actually standing in solidarity with their LGBTQ friends. I think that's particularly true in cities, is many women and straight women are actually really close, and many have like gay best friends and are part of the queer community, even if they're not themselves part of the queer community by experience and identity. And so I think there's a bit of a solidarity piece. We would need to explore that more. But I've even just colloquially heard that from friends and Christians and non-Christians, this feeling of, well, if my friend isn't honored in this space, or if there isn't a space for this friend to be part of it, then out of solidarity and love, I don't want to be part of it either. So there's a lot of moving pieces here. Questions around politics, questions around culture, gender, theology of gender, spiritual leadership. I'll say with younger men becoming more religious, I do think some of that's connected to political conservatism. Is, young men are more conservative politically. We know that statistically. And Christianity right now in America is associated with being conservative politically. And so these two things come hand in hand. There's also a question of social capital. For me as a sociologist, I think about that a lot. Which choice is more socially advantageous for me? That's a really interesting question to ask. It applies to all different kinds of scenarios and people groups. And for younger men, particularly if you are living in a more Christian context or more conservative context, it is socially beneficial for you to engage in church culture. For young women who are maybe in more liberal contexts, it is less socially beneficial. It is seen maybe as, socially backwards or socially, just uncomfortable. It's awkward to engage in. That said, young women are very engaged spiritually right now. They're using other outlets. So there is actually this really interesting opportunity space when you think about evangelism, when you think about radical welcome in church spaces, when you think about discipleship and access. There's actually people who are very spiritually hungry, even if they're not currently engaged in a church or even in personal spiritual practices in the Christian sense.
That is the most insightful answer I have heard about this widening gap. Seriously, I think the political thing can't be overstated. I really hadn't put that together, but like young men are more conservative, churches are more politically active now, and more conservative women don't feel like they have a place. Are you seeing with the demographic shift? I mean, we're talking 18 to 27. That's kind of when people are like, getting ready to marry and start families and stuff like that. And now less women are in the church. Are we seeing any effect to marriage rates or anything like that within the kind of Christian marriage or anything?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to be honest, I don't have all of the research on it. What I'll say by observation and anecdote is, or I'll say we do have the research that shows men and women are delaying marriage. And so when, the average age of a married person was in their early 20s, now we're approaching late 20s, early 30s. That's across genders, but I think it is a bit more true for liberal women that there is a further delay of marriage. I do think that we're going to see a bit of the fallout of this over the next 10 years, you know, as we start. We haven't yet exactly seen the full impact of this. I think churches should be asking, how can I re-engage with single women? How can I empower single women? And that's of any age. It doesn't just have to be Gen Z, because I think there's also women who are in their 30s and 40s who are not married or don't have families, or even the question around single moms. A lot of single moms are disengaged from the church. There's a lot of practical factors there of being a single parent is really hard. And so, of course, if I don't, you know, for myself, I'm not yet a parent. But if I were and I had to do that on my own, man, would I want to sleep in on a Sunday morning. If this is one day that I don't have to wrangle all the kids, sure. There you go, Cameron. Exactly.
I can attest.
Yes, I think we should be asking, how do churches really cater to the single people in their congregation and the single people in their communities? Are they actively supporting in the practical resource sense? And also, I think a lot of single women, their primary concern at the moment, especially if they're in urban areas, especially if they're not in the South, their primary concern may not be marriage. It may not be romance. And so are churches talking about other areas for spiritual engagement, or is the sole focus for single women? Here's how to get married. Here's how to be a good mom, which is important. That is important. It's good and beautiful, and it's not the only thing.
Yeah. I have a question. Are the numbers different in cities as opposed to the suburbs? Do they skew different, or is it the same across?
I'll say right now, I don't think we have the research that points to, okay, in these cities, in these particular demographics. I mean, we have the demographics by gender and age. I think that is one of the things that we'll be exploring in this next round of research. Now that we have the initial demographic shifts, I'll say by hypothesis and observation, I would imagine, yes, that it is different, that women in cities are less likely to be engaged in the church. I'll say, even though anecdotally, I'm part of a church here in New York that is actually primarily women in Gen Z, which is really interesting.
Can you tell us where that is for all the single guys that are looking around their churches and there's no women? What church is that?
That is funny. That is funny. Well, if you come visit in New York, Cameron, I'll take you. I'll take you to a Sunday service and introduce you to the ladies.
Cameron's trying to blow up the safe space.
He's like, that
is funny. There are men, but it's interesting. In my particular church culture, it is actually primarily women in their 20s, which is not representative. So that's also the interesting piece for all of us. We all have our little bubbles that we're part of, spiritually, religiously, geographically. And so many of us, you know, we are mirrors of the particular group that we exist within. And so it is important. That's why the research is so important, because it gives us a larger picture. You know, if you were to only look at the Asbury revival, which is amazing, you would say, well, all young people are coming to Jesus. And we have the numbers that say a lot of young people are very excited about Jesus. A lot of young people are very interested. Many young people, even who didn't grow up in Christian households, are interested in engaging with the Bible. But many are still hesitant to be called a Christian. I'll even say, here's the really tough piece, is that we're dealing with the fallout and the continual fallout of many scandals within the church being exposed. This is actually for the church's good and for the world's good, for these disgusting and horrible things to come to light. And also, we're in the age of social media and the news. Everyone knows about it. This is not just impacting the particular ministry or church that a fallen leader is part of. It's impacting the entire Christian name. You know, the whole reputation of Christianity is now attached to these single scandals and these acts of sexual abuse, moral failure, all of these things. And so that's another interesting piece that shifts from 100 years ago. If the leader of a major church had a moral failure or a scandal was exposed, not many people would know about it. You know, maybe it would make it on the local radio, but we're just living in a day and age where all of us can read about it. And that's absolutely also connected with why women don't feel as comfortable. If you hear about sexual abuse scandals, do you want to bring your kids into this space? It may not be a safe space. And so you're definitely seeing that fallout of women feeling a bit more empowered over their bodies and over their decisions, which I believe is a good thing. And the church has to reckon with, how have we failed women? How have we harmed women? How have we failed families? How have we failed single parents? How have we minimized women's calling to only be motherhood and marriage, and then isolated and iced out the rest of women who may feel called to that, may not, but are not currently walking in that. So there's a lot of shifts, and honestly, it's a hard word for the church right now to take a hard look at what are we doing to support younger women? How are we discipling younger women? How are we engaging with younger women? And then when younger women are part of the church, are we discipling their gifts? Are we empowering them? And this is even a question apart from your church's theology is, do we empower women in their gifts? Because we need the whole body. We need every part of the body to be fully utilized and supported and celebrated.
Okay, before we let you go, your story is fascinating. So in a couple of minutes, how did you go from Harvard to Hamilton to research in sociology? You are a fascinating human being. Please tell us your story in 30 seconds.
Okay,
Go.
the 3-second version. 1, 2, 3, there it's gone. I'll say I am very, very grateful that I've gotten to live out several different dreams in my lifetime so far. I'm a born and raised New Yorker. I grew up in the church. I've had faith since I was a kid. I'm really grateful to have grown up in actually a very theologically, spiritually diverse place. Of course, it's also ethnically, racially, socioeconomically, linguistically, etc. But it actually really challenged my faith from a young age. So faith and engaging with faith intellectually has always been something I was really excited about. I was also very excited about studying people. And what's really cool is that acting is actually a way to study humankind, and so is sociology. And so I was really blessed. I got into Harvard early. I was obviously a huge nerd, loved school, have always loved learning and academics. Got into Harvard early. And of course, once I got there and started studying sociology, my acting career started taking off. And I was at times during Harvard working full-time as an actor and doing full-time school. So that was crazy. Barely slept. God was very sweet to keep me nourished somehow through that time. I also got more involved in ministry during that time. I actually graduated from Harvard early, was able to go into acting full time. That was a huge blessing.
Rock star.
Rock star.
What am I doing with my life?
I know, right?
Stop. Y'all are too sweet. But got to go into acting full time. Of course, the world shut down now 5 years ago. So the acting industry shut down. God was super sweet, and I actually worked in consulting. So I did like big tech consulting over that year or so. Got to also do more ministry and nonprofit work, even worked at my church for a time, and then was able to get back into acting mostly full time after that. Hamilton was my dream show for a long time. I'll say though, because everyone only sees the success side, I auditioned for 6 years before I booked it. So it was 6 years of no's before I got the one yes. And, you know, this is how God often works. Is what's very sweet is that in that time, I first auditioned when I was 18 years old. And in that time, I got my Harvard degree. I met my husband, just became more spiritually and creatively mature, someone who could actually hold the weight of what that job would require. And that job is a hard job. You know, what actors do, particularly in the Broadway space, it's like, you know, it's like being a professional athlete. The way that you have to care for your body and your voice. And it's definitely no joke. I'll also say God was very sweet. I was initially in callbacks for the little sister, Peggy. And by the time I booked it, I actually got to play all 3 roles. I covered the 3 Schuyler sisters, Eliza Angelica, Peggy, Mariah. So it turned into a bigger dream than I could have imagined. And I'll say since leaving Hamilton, I've gotten to continue acting and gotten to work on my first Netflix show and my first movie and some
Leave
new
some
musicals.
for other people. Come on, Ashley.
Ashley,
but I'll also say yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, reading these off, I'm like, all right, what would I... You know, when I was a pool lifeguard at an apartment complex one summer, we got pool to pay period twice. And it's been, I've been in a little bit of a cold,
as well.
It's been a little bit of a cold streak, but this is very inspiring for me to get more ambitious.
Seriously,
Oh,
goodness
well,
gracious.
thank you. No,
Well, do you
I'm
have
grateful now to be involved with Barna and to be a senior research fellow there. It's bringing together all the loves at once. So God is
That's
sweet.
wild. That is wild. Well, we will be looking out for all the amazing future things you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Thank you for the work you're doing. And thanks for joining us today. There's a lot of great insight.
thank you,
Really
Ashley.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Important conversation. Honored to be part of it.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you. All right.
Thanks, Ashley.
Stay tuned. Up next, it's Slices. All right. It's time for
Slices.
Okay. Before we get into it, Jesse,
Yeah.
how good was she? That was crazy.
I know.
Like,
I know. And two,
makes me feel bad about
always-
myself.
I'm always so
seriously.
impressed with someone who is that articulate for that consistent amount of time. Like the clarity of thought and communication was very impressive. In addition to just being an impressive
It's
person,
clear
a
she
very
went to
impressive
Harvard.
communicator as well. Yeah.
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 And is a, somebody who is comfortable on stage and in front of people. I mean, communicating clearly. It's such insight. So it's great. That was awesome. Good find, Emily. Thanks for bringing her on. All right. On the other end of the spectrum, what do you have, Jesse?
Well, you say that in a way, I've been a student of journalism for a long time.
Yes.
And have made many contributions to this field,
Yes.
including making people aware of headlines like this, which was being circulated. Quote, truckload of aggressive research monkeys escape after truck crash in Mississippi. So that happened.
So
I do want to break down one of the. I came across this earlier this week, and I actively decided not to find out more information. Partly I think it's just better if we operate under the theory that there are aggressive research monkeys just lurking. One, I think culture is getting soft, and we need to be on our toes a little. I think if you live your day, day to day, today could be the day that I encounter an aggressive escaped research monkey.
Yeah.
You're going to approach each day a little bit better. So I intentionally didn't want to find out how many of these were recovered. As of time that I last read it, for about a day ago, 3 were still on the loose. I think America needs that. I think we.
Yeah.
I think
No, we don't. We don't need that.
Hear me out, Derek.
Jesse, no, we don't need it.
Hear me out. Most of us live lives where we sort of seek out or manufacture conflict online. I think if you have the real proposition of not only of interspecies conflict, that you may meet an aggressive research monkey, it just reframes your day. So I don't think the story needs a conclusion, though I do think there was an important update because the deputies who were called on to after this accident to take action were informed that the monkeys had hepatitis C, herpes, and COVID.
Oh no!
And so,
Oh my God!
Don't worry.
What?
Don't
in the
world
world are
I
they
do.
doing to
Hold
the
on.
monkeys?
Hold on.
What are they doing to the monkey?
Hold on. The deputies evidently were told later by the research company that they're not infected. They were part of research for those things. I like the statement from PETA, who was obviously very upset about this, as we all should be. But they said this is the risk that the greedy monkey experimentation industry has chosen for the public so they can line their pockets while these sensitive monkeys crisscross American highways in unmarked trucks. That's a press release that a publicist never thinks he's going to write, even when they go work for PETA. One, you're taking on the greedy monkey experimentation industry by name,
Right.
which is a bold move. Two, you're exposing the activity of sensitive monkeys crisscrossing American highways in unmarked trucks. I got to be honest, when I'm driving down the highway, the last thing I'm thinking, probably the very last thing, is that truck that just whizzed by me with no markings in the right lane is filled to the brim with research monkeys infected with hepatitis C, herpes, and COVID.
It's It's a lot going on over the highways, y'all. It is. That's crazy.
Look, I grew up in the Final Destination era. I see a log truck, I'm triggered. It's
Yeah,
like,
right.
oh, you know,
Get out of the way.
I get away. I know what happens when those things, you know. Now, I'm worried about a whole new set of problems.
And we don't need that. That
Angry.
Like, there's
Angry,
so much stuff
aggressive
going on.
monkeys.
Yes,
Yeah.
we don't need that. Aggressive, STD,
Diseased.
COVID, monkeys.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We don't need those diseases, especially.
So if listeners, if you find an update for this, don't even tell me. Don't bring it to the table. Don't email it.
Keep us on our toes.
I think it's just better. We want to be on our toes a little. It's just better way to live life.
Yeah.
Don't get too comfortable, people.
Ashley is telling us deep insights about, the church and its effect on sociology and culture and gender. And you're telling us that other reasons why we need to live better lives and stay on our toes, because you never know when an angry, escaped, diseased research monkey might be lurking. So
I feel that's an example.
Carpe diem, everybody.
I feel that story and me being able to tell it is an example of how impressive of a career both of us have had.
All right, real quick, we're running out of time. Derek, what's your slice?
All right. One of my favorite shows to watch on Netflix when I don't have anything to watch, which is very rare, is Suits. Does anybody watch Suits?
Oh, love
Where
Suits.
I got into it. Okay.
Yeah,
you guys
Suits
like
is
it.
dope. So pretty much
It's so good.
the whole premise of the joint is there's this kid. He's a genius when it comes to being a lawyer, but he doesn't take the bar. He's like literally, he's so smart that there's people that need to pass the bar, and he literally gives them the answers for the test, takes the test for him like he's a genius, right?
Well, he has a photographic memory, so he's like
Photographic
memorized
memory.
he's like memorized like the LSAT or the
right,
whatever the book, the law book, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's smarter than me. I'll put it that way. He's smarter than me. You can look at anything, and that's great if you're a lawyer because you could do the research, you look at stuff, et cetera, et cetera. Bam. So he gets put into a law firm, and a guy takes a chance on him, knowing that he doesn't have this, and that's the whole thing: is are they going to find out that this guy really shouldn't be practicing law or not? Well, that's actually happening right now in Kenya. There's a guy named
Wow.
Yes, there's a guy named
That was a
Brian.
great intro. That was a great segue. I didn't know where you were going. That's great, though. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
So there's a guy named Brian Mwenda. I think that's how you would say his name. Forgive me, Kenyans, if I got it wrong, but Brian Mwenda. He finds out there's another guy with the same exact name that's actually a lawyer. He goes in, hacks whatever thing, and he begins to do cases under this guy's name. He took 26 cases and did not lose one.
Wow.
Took 26 and did not lose one.
And he's not a lawyer.
He's not a lawyer.
The same name as a lawyer.
They found him out because the original guy, I guess, got moved up to the attorney general's office, so he didn't really need that portal as much, but he wanted to reactivate himself in the portal, and he got locked out. So he's trying to figure out how he got locked out. It's because other guys practicing law under his name. So this guy's going to go to jail, but he won all 26 cases.
That seems... It seems to show, one, the futility of law school. Am I right? I mean, look, here's the other thing, too, is like, you know how when you're growing up, the teacher would say, well, you're not always going to have a calculator in your pocket. You got to learn trigonometry or whatever. Now it's like, look, I got Chat GPT in my pocket. If I get in a traffic accident or whatever, I'm going to ask it for law advice. I think this is all just getting to a place where it shows the futility of a law degree. If this super smart dude can go in there, he didn't need school. I think if you can, listen, I think passing the bar should be optional for practicing law. I think our laws have gotten, I think the laws have gotten too complicated if you have to go to school for 8 years to be able to understand it. I like this guy.
Give me the Kenyan scammer that won all that is perfect on his cases. Give me that guy over the guy that went to law school and has a 50-50 shot. I want the 26 cases, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Give me the 26 cases guy. I want the winner. Like, just give me the 26 cases guy.
But what's genius about all this isn't just the law thing. It's that he found a lawyer with his same name and just said, he just sidled up and said, that's me. I remember I don't know if he still is, but there's another Cameron Strang, and he's the president and chairman of Warner Brothers Records. Like, I don't know if he still is, but he was. I could just go to Grammy Week, go to the guest list, and be like Cameron Strang.
Show me your
Sidle up. That's me.
Look, my coach told me in high school, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. And
your coach said that?
Yes. If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
I don't know about that one.
I feel like I heard a story about this. Hold on. I will say this. I feel like I heard a story about this recently with someone practicing dentistry, and it was very similar. Really? And that one did not have as happy of an ending.
Oh, that would be brutal. That would be having a dentist that's not a dentist work on your teeth.
And then with the drill, just extracting.
Oh,
no.
man,
but was it because of the same name thing? Is that like how we got to practice dentistry?
I don't know the details. I just think it was a off-book dentist, but I don't know that his patients knew. I think they were like, oh, there's a laptop in an office, or a lab coat in an office. Seems pretty official.
Oh my God.
And
fake it till you make it.
I'm not checking that the dentistry degree on the wall of my dentist is legit. He could be. Yeah. He could have totally made it up, and I would never know.
Wear the suit.
See, Cameron's onto something though. With like, so Cameron, you're onto something with like finding someone with the same name and kind of taking over their life, because there are genuinely 1 million other Emily Browns in the world. So I kind of have like
wide open,
endless career options ahead of me.
Pick of your career.
Yeah, I can be whatever I want to be just by assuming someone else's identity. I like this career path for me.
Love it. Love it. That's good. All right. That'll do it for Slices. Make sure to check out relevantmagazine.com for more stories like that and the stuff we covered back in Relevant Buzz. Many thanks to Ashley LaLonde for joining us today. I'd say go check her out. Like, she's on Netflix. She's on Hamilton.
She's doing it all.
She's doing it all.
Truly doing it all.
Keep your eye out on her. Awesome. Check out the Barna research they're doing. We've been covering that at Relevant as well. So if you want to read those articles, they're at the site. On that note, we'll wrap things up. We did it, guys. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Derek Miner.
I'm Emily Brown.
We will see you all next Tuesday. And hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe. Don't miss an episode. All right. See you guys.
Do it.